Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Well guys, we're going to start on a kind of interesting project today. I think you guys are going to get a kick out of what we're ultimately going to do here. And basically what that is I've got a project that I need to turn a shaft down in a fixture or it's in an assembly, and I really don't want to take the shaft out. And the way I've come up to do this is I want to actually grind it off, but I don't have a cylindrical grinder to do this with. No problem. We're just going to convert my horizontal milling machine into a cylindrical grinder. And that's what we're going to get started on today, is getting the actual grinder mounted to the horizontal mill. So I'll show you what we got cooking over here. So first off, what about the grinder itself? What I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using this tool post grinder. Now this is actually a grinder that is designed to go on a lathe for basically doing cylindrical grinding on a lathe. In this case, I need to be able to get it bolted down or secured to a table to work off rather than chucking something up in the lathe. But I said, hey, why can't we mount this over on the horizontal mill and do what I want to do? And that's exactly what we are going to do. So again, this is actually a South Bend. I think this unit's made by Dumore, who makes all kinds of these grinders, but this one here has a South Bend sticker on it, so it was obviously sold by South Bend at one time, and I picked it up somewhere along the way. Basically, there's just a boss here on the bottom that a bolt goes down through. This mounts onto the tool post on your lathe basically, and what we want to do is actually mount it to the horizontal mill. And to do that, we're going to have to get a little bit creative. Now here's my approach. This is how I think we're going to go about doing this. So this is the overarm support, or one of the overarm supports for my Kearney Trecker horizontal mill. This mounts up on the two overarm supports that come out, and it's a very rigid mounting surface. It's actually made for the shaft to go through when you're doing horizontal milling. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to adapt this to where we can actually mount this tool post grinder, basically right here like this, and have this hanging down off the front of the milling machine with a nice secure mount that will rigidly hold this tool post grinder. So here on the overarm support, we've got this little bronze bushing in here. This bronze bushing is what your arbors that you mount cutters on. This is the outboard support. So basically just goes through this bronze bushing and gives it that support. It's a bearing surface. And you can take this bronze bushing out. It's made where you can actually adjust it, tighten it up as it wears, etc. So let's see, there's a spanner wrench there. We'll start that process. This just unscrews, and if this is like my other arbor support, which is a little bit different than this one, this is kind of looks like a collet. Yep, there you go. So there's a taper on the back side. You got some slots in here, and when you tighten this up, when you squeeze it together, it closes up the hole, and that's basically your adjustment to tighten this piece up as it wears. So for the project we're going to do, we're not going to use this part, so I'm just going to take it apart and set it aside, because we'll want to have that when we put it back into use as an overarm support. So my game plan here is I'm going to use this hole through this piece to make a little fixture to mount the tool post grinder on. Now I've got a block of steel here that we're just going to put in the lathe and start working with. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to turn down a shaft that's the same diameter of this. I'll have to get a measurement on it. And this will stick up, have a little boss that comes out of it, and go up to that larger diameter. Then there'll be a hole going through the whole thing that we can just put a bolt through our tool post grinder through this piece here. We should have plenty of support to support the tool post grinder. And as we tighten this up, we'll put some type of washer or something on the back that we can tighten against. It'll squeeze it all together and should give us a good mounting support for the tool post grinder. And before we do that, just to show you, this is the overarm support mounted onto the horizontal mill here. And again, it just gives that support. This is extremely rigid, so I think this is going to be just fine. I always like these overarm supports that kind of look like a face looking at you there. Got two big eyes, a nose, and a mouth down here. But anyway, let's get over there and start making our bushing to go in there, and we should be able to get this thing all rigged up. Got my piece of stock mounted up over here in the lathe. This is just a touch under 3 inches outside diameter. And just to kind of show you what we're making, I put together a little sketch here just so you can kind of see. So I'm going to have this piece here. This is where the grinder will mount up to on this flat face, and it needs to be about 2.85. That measurement is not critical at all. About 3/4 of an inch thick. We'll put some chamfers on there just to give some clearance. This area behind here needs to be about 2.125, and again, that measurement is not super critical. It's just to give a shoulder to go up against on the overarm support. And then we'll turn this little shaft down here, and that one there is a very tight measurement. The inside bore on that is 1.125, and I need to be right at that, or maybe just a 1,000th or 2 undersize will be fine, just to have a good slip fit up into that piece. And then we need to drill a 29/64 hole all the way through, and that's the same size hole that's in the tool post grinder that I think we'll put a 7/16 inch bolt through there to snug it all together. When we get through, we'll need to probably make a little piece to go on the back just to tighten up against, and there's nothing fancy about that. It's just basically a oversized washer that bolt can snug up against. So anyway, that's our game plan. Let's make this part. All right, I think we're ready to start here, and to start with, I'm just going to come in here. We're going to face this front side off. We've got a saw cut on there. It's kind of rough, so we'll just plow that off. Good. There's just a little bit up here on the very end, but we're going to turn that off anyway, so no big deal. So the overall length on this is going to be 2 1/4, and I'm just going to put a mark on here. This dimension is not critical whatsoever, so we'll just scale it. It'll be close enough. And we need to go down to about 2.85 on the diameter, and let's just see where we're starting from. So we're at about 2.936. So we got almost 100 thousandths to go there. Let's see my line right here. I'm gonna make a little bit better line. Come in here, we'll touch off. Do some turning. I'm going to turn past that mark just so that we have a little extra metal to work with here. All right. We got about 20 thousandths to go. We're about 2 or 3 thousandths over, but again, that measurement's not critical, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right. This has got a little nasty burr on it down here. I'm just going to take a file. Yeah, just knock that off so I don't cut myself on it or anything while I'm down there working. So next shoulder that we need to cut down to is going to be the 1 1/4 inch diameter. So basically we've got this outside done. We're going to come in here and cut this one. I need to go in 1.5 inches. So I'm going to put a mark on there where my shoulder needs to be. And again, this measurement is not critical. We're just going to turn up to that line. It'll be fine wherever it ends up there. And we got a lot of metal to come off of here, so we'll just come in here and start cutting. We're working our way down here, just trying to keep an eye on where we're at. Don't want to miss my mark, and we are at about 1 inch, 440 thousandths. We're shooting for 250 thousandths, so we got about 200 thou to go, a little over. So we'll just keep working down to that point. We got about 20 thou to go, and that is pretty warm. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to do a few of the other operations here, and before I do that last cut, I'm going to wait for this to cool down, because when you get heat in a part like this, it can actually make it larger. And when I'm trying to hit a particular measurement, I want to take that final measurement, you know, when the part's relatively at room temperature. We're far from that right now. So I think what I'm going to do is we'll go ahead and face this side, get it cleaned up. I'll go ahead and put my chamfer on here, maybe even go ahead and drill that, and then we may even let this part cool overnight and then come back and do that last little bit tomorrow. I just got a cutter here. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of chamfer back here. And we're going to put a pretty steep chamfer in here. Slow my speed down just a little bit. I'm real close to where I want to be at. It's a big face we're trying to cut on there, and it's just shattering a little bit. I think that's going to be fine. Let's measure it and kind of see where we're at. That's close enough. It's about 2 inch 300 thousandths, but that should give us there's a little bit of a part that sticks out, and I just need a little bit of clearance back there, so that was the reason for that chamfer. All right, let me get a drill bit, and we'll go ahead and drill this thing. I'm going to come in here and with a center drill and just get me a center started for that drill bit to start in. That should be fine. And then we're just going to drill it 29/64. that should be plenty deep enough. So I've let this part cool down overnight, and I want to come back in here now and finish this up. So shooting for 1.125, we're on about 1.164, so we got a good 5, 10, 15, 20, almost 30 thousandths to go. See where we ended up here. All right, so now we've still got about 20 thousandths to go. That's got me right there on my mark. So we're about 1.124, which should give me a nice fit up in there. So, and there's no real heat in there, so we should be fine. All right, let me champ for that edge again. Gonna break that corner. And there we go. And I got a parting tool set up in here. I see it may be a little bit too fast. Let's see what it feels like here. I'll go with it. Yeah, slow it down. Seems like it's cutting pretty good. Making a nice chip in there. Just feeding it in by hand. Not using an auto feed here. So we got our piece off now. I need to turn it around and face this backside, just get a good edge on that end. But before I do, while I got this piece chucked up in here, I'm gonna go ahead, I gotta make a little washer or piece to go on the backside of that my bolt can go to, that it basically just serve as a drawbar. So I'm just gonna make basically a nice thick washer. I've already got a hole in there. We're just gonna come in here and face this off. I'm gonna turn the diameter down a good bit, and we'll just have that going. So let's sit in here and get that part done. All right, we're going here and face off this face of this thing, get it running nice and true. Break the corner on that edge. That's fine. All right, we got that piece made. Looks good. Last little step here, we need to put a keyway in here because there is a little key that goes into the overarm support to keep that bushing from spinning. Now in this case, the bushing, it really won't matter if it spins per se. I think the tightening is going to hold it in place, but that key's in there, I can't take it out, so we got to make clearance for it. So I just got an end mill in here, and we're just going to plow a little key in there just to give us the clearance to fit up on there, and this should be ready to go on the machine. All right, this should be the final depth here. right, let's try her out here. My key is right here, my keyway, so let me get those kind of lined up. There it goes. Perfect. So that should give me a boss to mount my tool post grinder on. I got my washer back here that'll go behind it. I've got to get a long bolt that will go through this as well as the tool post grinder so that I can bolt that up there. I'm going to have to run town to grab one of those, but as soon as we do, we'll come back and mount that on there and show you what it looks like. Here you go, guys, all mounted up, all ready to go. So we basically just took this bolt, went through the whole spindle, squeezed it all together, and this is on here really nice and tight and rigid. I'm very happy with this setup. I think it's going to work just fine. I've got it plugged in. Turn that on, my grinder kicks in, and voila, we have converted my horizontal milling machine into somewhat of a cylindrical grinder. Probably not the first person that's ever done this, but I've never seen it done before. I think it's kind of cool. So next step, and this is going to be another video down the road, we're going to get our whole assembly over here, get it mounted up on the table, get it all lined up, squared up, everything, and actually start grinding that part and getting that shaft turned back in true again, and looking forward to getting that done. Like I said, I'm pretty excited about this. I think this is a neat setup. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So with that, that's going to be a wrap on this video, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thanks for all your many comments. Thanks for everything you guys do out there. I just always appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and leave me a thumbs up, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.